Hello, and welcome to Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ+ daily evening television news. We are broadcasting live and available on demand on all smart televisions, including Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. It's time to queer up the news. It is Thursday, October 26th, 2023. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
I'm out South Florida senior reporter John Hayden. This evening, we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ+ community from South Florida, America, and across the planet.
This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ+ evening news show. Whatever happens unique in LGBTQ+ news, you will see it and hear it.
Hotspots Magazine, happening on Television Network, is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model of PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ+ community. Our mission? To support the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of our Black community, Latino, lesbians and queer women, trans, students, youth, seniors, HIV/AIDS healthcare, business, social justice, and faith. Help us support our community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ+ media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
Our magazine is celebrating 38 years of the LGBTQ+ experience, and our television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ+ and broader community.
Let's meet tonight's panel. Bad Papi is a Latina, gender-fluid drag artist who redefines what it means to be trans and non-binary in the Latin community. Bad Papi is also executive director of Reflect Collective, a nonprofit serving QTPOC survivors of sexual and domestic violence. Bad Papi is an icon in the Latin LGBTQ+ community and will forever be the baddest Papi in town. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I came here today with my Halloween shirt and my beautiful gender rose little tombstone earrings for the Halloween spirit.
Those are I like the shirt. I don't know if you can make it out on camera, but they're
little skulls.
And then, are those like, oh, okay. It says R.I.P.
R.I.P. gender roles.
Gender roles. Oh, I love that. That is very good. Gregg Shapiro is an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. He is the author of 9 books. His entertainment coverage, including celebrity interviews, runs in a variety of print and online publications, including Out South Florida. Welcome, Gregg.
Thank you, John. It's nice to be here at the table again. Thanks for having me.
Next, let's welcome anchor Tyia Hareland. She is a proud member of the transgender community and the PR director of Reflect Collective, an organization working to support queer, trans, and POC survivors of sexual and domestic violence. Welcome, Tyia.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
And I also want to say I don't have a costume because to non-queer people I'm scary enough. But
I love you so much. I love you so much.
I also want to share that on November 17th we'll be doing Gender Chill, a social justice fashion show, and we're going to be helping Reflect. We'll be the beneficiary. Yeah.
That's going to be a wonderful event. And finally, we welcome Jonathan Casanas, a board member of Forward Miami. He is also one of the producers of Gay Ocho Festival, the largest Latin diversity and inclusion festival in the nation. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thank you, John. Let's get to it, shall we?
I believe we should. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ+ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Thursday, October 26th. And we begin by queering up breaking news. The LGBTQ+ community is in shock as memories of violence are triggered by Maine shootings. We want to take a moment to recognize the victims of the shooting spree and mass murders in Maine. At least 18 are dead, many more are wounded. Today, wide swaths of the state were on lockdown, while the killer remained at large, armed, and dangerous. Video appears to show 40-year-old Robert Card armed with a rifle, and an arrest warrant is out for his arrest. He's accused of 2 mass shootings within 15 minutes of each other. He is a former Army reservist and skilled marksman. Card spent 2 weeks in a mental hospital over the summer after saying he heard voices and wanted to hurt fellow soldiers. But a family member told CNN he doesn't have a long history of mental illness. Today, Governor Janet Mills talked about the mass murders.
I'm profoundly saddened to stand before you today and report that 18 people lost their lives and 13 people injured in last night's attacks. I'm so deeply saddened, as is every one of the 1.3 million people of this beautiful state. This city did not deserve this terrible assault on its citizens, on its peace of mind, on its sense of security. No city does, no state, no people.
A lot of questions will be asked over the next days and weeks. Questions of culpability, mental health, gun control, and more. But 10-year-old victim Zoe Hutchinson asked the best questions.
I never thought I'd grow up and get a bullet in my leg. Why? Like, why do people do this? I was more worried about, like, am I going to live? Am I going to make it out of here? Like, what's going to happen? Are the cops going to come?
That was Zoe and her mom, Megan, today on ABC's Good Morning America. That sound, when I heard it, just gutted me. That a 10-year-old child gets it. We talk all the time about protecting children. But this child was at a party at a bowling alley, and she took a bullet in the leg. And now she's asking questions like this. This child is not protected by its government. This child sits there, lucky to be alive. And I'm so glad her mom is there, and her mom is comforting her. And it makes me sick to my stomach that this is where we are in America. Getting this man, dead or alive, won't make much of a difference. I don't know what we're going to learn from him that we haven't already learned or had the opportunity to learn from other mass shootings. Earlier this year, there was a shooting in Oregon. Mass shooting. Didn't even make the front page or the top of online websites within 12 hours. Like, I had a good night's sleep and I woke up to check the news the next morning. I didn't even see it until I scrolled down further. That's where we are. This is hard. We all remember Pulse. We remember Q Club in Colorado Springs. Our allies shot up in Southern California simply for having a pride flag. This triggers me. It reminds me of Pulse, then reminds me of so many others. I'm heartbroken.
Well, the things you said, this country, the two things in this story, mental health, because this country doesn't care about mental health. They don't care about taking care of people who need help. And gun control. Once again, we're talking about gun control. It comes back to this issue time and time again. And the gun lobby is so powerful that it's probably never going to happen, certainly in our lifetimes.
Well,
and unfortunately, we see the impacts on this with children, too. My cousin, when she was around like 6 or 7, I remember she said to me one day, or my aunt, she was like, I left my school. It wasn't because of education. It wasn't because of any of that. Because they had bulletproof windows was why she loved her school. And I think us as a country is being so desensitized. We see this in the news all the time. That's why it's not unfortunately, on the front page. We need our lawmakers and people to actually do something. And it might be a part of mental health, but I have mental health problems. I'm not shooting up things, and I think, I'm not saying you said that, but I think that can be a little bit of a dangerous take to have sometimes. And it is a component of mental health sometimes, but we need gun control desperately.
Absolutely. And just to be clear, we don't want to conflate or compare each person's mental health, because everybody's struggle everybody's struggle
No,
is
yeah,
real.
exactly.
Absolutely.
I can say that a lot of this issue is coming from white supremacy and about basically bigotry against people of color, bigotry against gay people, bigotry against trans people. Time and time again, we see that these shooters are cis white heterosexual men.
Yeah.
Time and time again, every single time, and it's the majority. We have to sit down and think, what is the pattern here, and why is this happening? They feel entitled to, other people's lives. They feel entitled to this land, and they feel like they can inflict violence, and they want to inflict violence so that we, the minorities, are scared. And you know what that is? Terrorism.
Absolutely.
That is terrorism.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a hard subject. This is this story. I mean, first of all, I haven't gotten chills in a long time, and that young girl speaking, both my arms, my hair stood up. It really affected me. I didn't really think it was going to affect me that way. But the reason I think that it becomes so conflicting is because there's so much money involved in the gun industry that I don't think this is going to go away anytime soon. And when you talk about mental health, like, sure, he was in the hospital for 2 weeks. Is there a process where they ask, do you have guns in your possession or in your home? Are they going to seize those guns? Do they go and ask questions to their parents or to the family if there are guns hidden, who they live with, what's the history involved? He had a short history. Who knows if anybody would have ever found out? It becomes a way harder question to ask, and to find a resolution just for me seems hard. I don't know
Because
where to
there's
go.
so much layers to it.
And
So many layers.
let me tell you, my girlfriend in India, everyone in India knows about this now. It's all over the news over there. And let me tell you, when they look at this, they're like, what is wrong with the United States? Because this doesn't happen there. And that is a low income country. We as a high income country that has the resources, that has the tools to be able to prevent these things, can't prevent these things. But a low income country.
To compare us to other countries, right? There are countries that the police officers don't have guns on them.
Right.
You know what I mean? We are way past that. There is no way that we can now become a country of no guns where our police officers can have tasers and guns and because it's just we're too far gone. So the steps have to be small and small and small till we can get to a safe place where people are not, taking their Second Amendment right or not. The government doesn't now.
Well, India doesn't have their Second Amendment right. Well, they don't even have a Second Amendment right. They have a completely different constitution. But even with like the weaponry that they have, there's still not mass shootings. Why?
Yeah. A few things that I want to hit on before we move on. First, you talked about mental health. I think we all have touched on that subject tonight. Mental health. I'm old enough to remember 2 or 3 years ago when Republicans were like, no, we don't need gun control. We just need to enforce the laws we have and, look at people with mental health issues. And before the election ballots were done from that cycle, they were already talking about getting rid of red flag laws, giving guns to people who have a history of mental illness. And you certainly don't want to stigmatize people from coming forward to get help. But at the same time, you don't want to make it easier for people who could be more inclined to do mass shootings. You don't want to make it easier for them to carry out terrorism, like you said, Papi, like terrorism like this. And there are 2 questions that can be asked. One is, what can we do? Well, the answer is a lot. The other question is, what will we do? And the answer, I'm afraid, once again, will be not much. Well, now let's queer up the worldview. Queer News Tonight, historic live broadcast from the Acropolis in Athens, Tuesday, November 7. The Queer News Tonight team strives every day to ensure you get the latest LGBTQ plus news from South Florida, America, and across the world. We are going to report live for 11 days while traveling through Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. While we will certainly be enjoying a cruise, tours, delicious food, we want you to know that we value you even more and to keep the promise of delivering the top news to you. We are doing a live broadcast from the beautiful Acropolis of Athens on Tuesday, November 7th. We are bringing you the top news from the LGBTQ plus community, no matter where we are. Make sure to stay tuned as we bring you global headlines from some of the globe's most historic locations. And, you know, I mean, this cruise has been in the works for about 15 months now. It's the group that's going, Faye's going to be going, and a bunch of people from Sunshine Cathedral. But the events of the last few weeks make it seem even more important. These won't be silly shows from historic sites. They'll be fun. Don't get me wrong. There's probably going to be great video. Faye, I'm sure, will be in fabulous outfits, hiking and heels, hiking up the steps of the Acropolis. Because I know you, Faye. I love you. Have fun. But and we're certainly not going to be in war zones. Let's not say that. But the idea that we're taking queer culture and queer news to these places is amazing. And it's very, very important. These aren't just, hey, let's grab a camera and do a show from the Acropolis. These are going to be meaningful news broadcasts. And regrets, I wish I was going, but I'm not. But I will be watching, and I hope all of you out there will be as well.
I regret it too. This is going to be very, very, I mean, it's a little scary, to be honest, but it's going to be an amazing trip, and I just can't wait to watch from home, unfortunately. No. But if we do this next year, I am definitely going. I'm definitely going. This is amazing.
It is amazing. Safe travels to our Queer News Tonight family. Next, let's queer up gay culture. Graphic artist Roz Chast discusses community and her trans child ahead of Miami Book Fair appearance. Award-winning cartoonist and graphic novelist Roz Chast has a knack for putting a smile on people's faces in record time. Her cartoons in The New Yorker, which have been delighting readers of the magazine for 45 years, are as distinctive as they are memorable. Chast's new book, The Wonderful I Must Be Dreaming, is so dreamy, it's just as the title suggests. In the book, Chast illustrates her own dream world, a place that is sometimes creepy but always hilarious, accompanied by an illustrated tour through Dream Theory Land, guided by insights from poets, philosophers, and psychoanalysts alike. In addition to a blurb from legendary lesbian illustrator Alison Bechdel, the book also features lesbian representation in the form of Nan Golden and Fran Lebowitz. Chast is also a mother of a trans kid, as she discussed with me in a recent interview for the Bay Area Reporter. The interview could not have taken place at a better time, as Roz will be at the 40th Miami Book Fair from November 12th to the 19th. Her appearance is the 18th. It is an annual street fair and literary festival that attracts more than 300 national and international authors every year and features pavilions for comics, children, and young adults from the LGBTQ plus community and others. Find out more at miamibookfair.com.
Celebrate 4 decades of literary excellence at the Miami Book Fair, November 12th to 19th. Join authors like Kerry Washington, Henry Winkler, and David Brooks. Get your tickets now at miamibookfair.com.
Well, I have to say, it was a dream come true for me to interview award-winning graphic novelist and New Yorker cartoonist Roz Chast. Her cartoons give me life. And one of the most amazing and sort of unexpected moments in the interview is when she talked about, I asked her about the LGBTQ plus people in her life, and she told me that she has a trans son. And it was just a really powerful moment. So please read the interview and buy this book. You'll love it. I promise.
I think it's beautiful that we have representation of people who are parents of trans children, because especially right now it's so hard being a parent of a trans child due to the laws and just everything. So I think it's beautiful that not only is she a supportive parent, but she made a book about this with representation. That's huge.
That really is beautiful, honestly. As somebody who grew up not really even realizing I was trans, even though I knew I was trans, I wish that I had more of this material growing up, because I feel like that would have really helped me in my journey.
Yeah, it's great that this person in particular has a voice, because there's so many parents out there who don't have trans kids, but they have an opinion.
Oh, they sure do.
And this is someone who I could definitely appreciate their opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, she's talented. Let's remember, she has this platform for a reason. That book, I can't wait to get my hands.
It's great.
If I wouldn't go out of frame, I would reach over and snatch it right now.
Honestly, I'm tempted right now.
Right, well,
right now.
You're closer. You're closer, Papi. You're fine to do that. But the Miami Book Fair doesn't need to be said again, but I'm going to say it again anyway. Amazing event, one that I learned so much about after I moved to South Florida a while ago. But it's going to be a great 8-9 days of authors and stars. Kerry Washington. Oh, I'm a Kerry fan.
I'm such a book nerd. I need to go. I didn't know about the book fair. I love to read books. I'm going. We're going.
Yeah.
Henry Winkler. It's an amazing lineup for the anniversary.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So please go see it, read, ask questions, meet the authors. Take your kids to meet the authors. This is a family event. This puts the friendly in family friendly. So go with your family. Take the kids. Meet Roz. Meet Henry. As we're on a first name basis. It's Papi, what's up?
Well, next, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Sunshine Pride House for Unhoused LGBTQ plus youth has home, but still needs your help with funds. The Sunshine Pride House is an initiative of Sunshine Cathedral and the Our Fund Foundation with generous help from community visionaries, including Michael Kalb and Terry Berlin. Sunshine Cathedral Foundation closed on the $1 million property yesterday and will convert it to a 12-bed home for unhoused LGBTQ plus youth with a planned opening of January 1st. Programs and support will be provided by local nonprofits, including the Fort Lauderdale Independence Training and Education Center, Flight, and SunServe's Sunshine Social Services. This is a continuation of the 6-bed facility launched by the Our Fund Foundation and lead donor and visionary Michael Kalb. An additional $115,000 is still needed for basic improvements, including AC, roof, and gutter replacement, insurance, and more. If you have questions or would like to donate, please contact Pastor Robert at sunshinecathedral.net or David Jobin, President and CEO of the Our Fund Foundation, at djobin@drfund.org. If donating by check, make payable to the Our Fund Foundation, Sunshine Pride House, or you can give online at sunshinecathedral.org. So this is so important. I can't emphasize that enough because, as you know, most of homeless youth are queer. 70%. That is astounding. And queer youth really need this the most, especially with the housing crisis that we're having, especially when your parents are literally kicking you out of your own home. Queer youth really need this, and I'm so happy to say that we're going to be having something like this here in South Florida because it is so needed.
It's beautiful because, especially unfortunately due to Don't Say Gay and all the other laws that happen, that has really negatively impacted. Not only is it 70% of queer youth in Florida, Florida has the highest amount of homeless queer youth in the country. So this is definitely extremely needed here in the state of Florida.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is personal to me. I know I've had many friends who were kicked out of their homes, simply for their parent finding a heel in the closet, and I put them on my couch, and there's just so much that you can do for someone, and you send them to someone like Pride Lines or Our Fund, and you come to find out that the funds always run out, and it's just never enough. So the more I hear about this, the more hope I get. Thanks to David and Sunshine for doing this, but just remember that there needs to be a continued initiative every day, because it's not cheap to house someone. And you may think 12 housing units is enough, and it's just not. There's so many people out in the street for them. I'm talking, and they have family that can take care of them, and they won't.
And like I said,
of things.
You can donate however you want, either through check,
please do.
Online, send an email out to see how else you could do it. Just go donate, give your money. This is really highly needed.
And there's other ways that you can do it. Show them how to build a resume. Give them some skills on how to find a job. Keep their jobs. Things of that nature that they can get out of this housing, and then provide some space for the next person.
Right, so it's sort of a temporary situation.
Yeah.
And it's incredible the way Sunshine Cathedral continues to work miracles for our community on a daily basis.
You know, the big announcement or whatever was held a couple weeks ago here at Sunshine Cathedral in the Maine Sanctuary. And I have to tell you, it was electric. And there was hope. And to your point about, and it's not enough, we all know that, but this is doubling from the 6-bed facility and is a great step forward. But to your point about continuing care, Flight is a fantastic organization and is going to be providing a lot of services, as will SunServe. And this is a joint effort, which gives me hope that this is really going to be a lasting commitment to the community, because you've got Sunshine Cathedral owning the property. They've been around for decades. You've got SunServe helping these kids out. They've been around for decades. You've got Flight, which does incredible work to help keep people alive and moving forward. They've been doing this for forever. So this, I believe, is really going to be something. I mean, I go to a lot of events, and there's always CEOs and nonprofit leaders and stuff, and that's great. But you sort of learn to temper your excitement over time. But there was real electricity in the air when this was happening, and I was there, and I consider myself lucky enough to think, wow, this is really going to be something, and this is going to make an impact. And these kids will come, and it's not for a couple weeks. They can stay for a while until they really get on their feet. They'll, have jobs, but the money will be put away to help them when they're ready to move out and be on their own. Tony Lima, Robert Durrell here, David Jobin. I mean, they know this community. They know this community. They know what it needs. 2 beds. It's a 12-bed facility. 2 beds will be kept open for emergencies, for when kids come in and need something right now. So there will always be a space for you.
Fantastic.
Super smart.
I am so excited. To all the people I name-checked just a moment ago, thank you. We all appreciate it.
All right, next, let's queer up business, shall we? Club Q will reopen in new location with new vibe and be operated by shooting survivors.
New venue can be a small part in helping people heal.
Off of South Academy in Colorado Springs is the historic Satellite Hotel, and just through those doors will be a safe spot for the LGBTQ+ community called the Q.
We believe by choosing to do a new location and a new venue at a different spot in this city, without the tragedy, without everything that's happened to it, we can build a bridge and allow people to meet on that bridge and start to rebuild this community.
That's the Vice President of Operations for Club Q, Michael Anderson. He says this location is going to be a little different. The biggest change is that it's no longer going to be a nightclub, but instead it's going to be a bar and restaurant.
Club Q was that, bumpin' Saturday night dance club. The Q will be a bit toned down. I don't imagine we'll have as much crazy dancing going on.
Outside of Club Q on North Academy, a makeshift memorial still stands for the 5 people who lost their lives in the tragedy nearly a year ago. They are still building the permanent memorial that will remain outside of the original club.
We hope by turning this building into a proper gathering, sacred, solemn memorial place can foster peace and healing rather than, having at some point a club open, loud music playing, and also a memorial right next to it.
It has been nearly a year since the Club Q mass shooting in Colorado Springs that left 5 people dead and injured, over a dozen. Club Q was a designated safe space for the LGBTQ+ community in Colorado Springs for 20 years, but has been closed since the tragedy. While Club Q officials initially said they would remodel the original building, they now say they're moving to a new location, the Satellite Hotel in southern Colorado Springs. The new venue will be known as the Q. The biggest change is the new spot will no longer be a nightclub, but instead a bar and restaurant that will host drag shows and other events. It will be managed and operated by survivors of the shooting. The owners are offering former Club Q staff to join the Q as they work to build a new team. They plan to build a permanent memorial on the original site and make it a place where people can come and honor the victims of the tragedy. The Q is expected to open the end of this year. This is super special to give jobs to the survivors, and especially since they know, what transpired. It gives this beautiful sentiment to this new location. And then not only that, but to memorialize, those victims that had passed. I think this is a beautiful sentiment. I've never heard of anything like this happening, so it's new, and it's a way to bring new people, to the establishment. So congratulations.
This is yet another example of the ways in which our community continues to thrive and survive even after a devastating tragedy.
There's a word for that.
Best of luck to the Club Q, the new Q people.
Yeah, the word for that is resilience.
Wow.
Resilience.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to be resilient, especially during the times that we're going through right now with all the legislation that's happening, the violence, everything. And luckily we have each other, and we're trying to go through this as best as we can. But it's just unacceptable that even now the shootings are still happening. And I'm just happy to see that even despite the shootings, people are still out there thriving.
What I really love about our community is the resilience. Unfortunately, after that happened, they had a lot of scholarships that they made in the name of...
I got one of them, actually.
Yeah, you got one of them.
I got one of them, yeah.
And, these are such horrible things to happen, but at least we're making name for these people who unfortunately went through these horrible events.
We're saying their names, we're honoring their legacy, we're trying to make them not die in vain, basically, and have some sort of purpose to something that's so senseless.
I applaud the decision to reopen in a different place. In my opinion, you just can't open a dance club on a site like that. It would essentially be dancing on graves. It's just too personal. It's too emotional. So I'm really glad they're going to find a new spot, because we can't let hate win, and we must carry on, whether it's in our advocacy or our brunch. We must carry on. So this is a really great story. Tangentially, Pulse nightclub, that site, I believe the Pulse Foundation or the city has bought the land of where it was, and it's going to be turned into a memorial as well. Yeah. So this is two pieces of really good news, and I wish Colorado Springs the best. I can't wait to see the opening video, and we will certainly cover that when we come back in the new year, for sure. And I look forward to a celebration. You can find celebration in sadness. You can grow out of that and bloom into something beautiful. So thank you to the survivors of Q for pressing on, not just for, because it's got to be hard for them. It's got to be PTSD to go back even into that environment, whether it's a gay nightclub, a straight nightclub, to go back into that afterwards and to run it and to own it and to help our community thrive and to get over your own trauma. It shows so much courage.
Right by the bullhorns, honestly.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for doing that.
Next, let's queer up politics. New Speaker of the House has a history of anti-LGBTQ+ actions. Newly elected Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, Mike Johnson, has a history of harsh anti-LGBTQ+ language from his time as an attorney for a socially conservative legal group in the mid-2000s. In editorials that ran in his local Shreveport, Louisiana paper, The Times, Johnson called homosexuality an inherently unnatural and dangerous lifestyle that would lead to legalized pedophilia and possibly even destroy the entire democratic system. At the time, Johnson was an attorney and spokesman for Alliance Defense Fund, known today as Alliance Defending Freedom, where he also voiced his opposition to the Supreme Court ruling in Lawrence v. Texas, which overturned state laws that criminalized homosexual activity between consenting adults. In September 2004, Johnson supported a Louisiana amendment banning same-sex marriage, saying it could lead to people marrying their pets. In another 2004 column, Johnson predicted same-sex marriage could doom America, calling, quote, it the dark harbinger of chaos and sexual anarchy, end quote. Just last year, Johnson introduced a bill some described as a national version of Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. Now, Johnson is Speaker of the House at a time when a majority of Americans are strongly supportive of gay rights. Well, anyone who thought it couldn't possibly get worse than Kevin McCarthy or Jim GYM Jordan, Steve Scalise or Patrick McHenry, they were sadly mistaken. Representative Mike Johnson, a fundamentalist Christianist from Louisiana who is an avowed homophobe, is the new speaker. In other words, we're doomed.
Can I say that sexual energy sounds like an iconic title for like a queer event?
It sounds like a revolution.
I feel like we should organize that at a club in DC.
We really should.
Or in Shreveport.
I don't understand how people can say something like they're going to marry their dog. Like, you're not going to marry Spot the beagle. Like, do people not understand how crazy they sound when they say stuff like that?
I mean, honestly, I'd rather marry a dog than them. Sorry.
The thing is,
we're not going to go down. We're not going to go down that.
The thing is, their constituents eat this shit up.
Yeah.
This guy's obviously closeted. My brain is going, who has the time to go through this? And then pretend they are fundamentally Christian. They're not. They are haters. Yeah. They just want to incite hate and violence. Because what's going to happen is we are going to rile up and we're going to get mad and we're all going to fight each other. That's all you're doing, is you're going to create divisiveness. That's all you're doing. But a Christian that I know, the Christians I know, would never say anything like that.
Yeah. Hasn't that actually happened to conservatives? I've heard conservatives get caught for hooking up with men or
Oh yes,
I feel like that happens
Senator
constantly.
Crapo and his foot tapping, and someone had a wide stance or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it's easy and it's fun. Let's say it's honest. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I think you can tell how gay a Republican is by how much they're against our community.
Yeah. It happens.
Well, then
are you talking about Lindsey Graham?
Of them are gay. Oh, Miss Graham. But and like I said, these are easy shots. They're fun and they're kind of true. But the fact is, this person is 2 heartbeats away from the presidency. And he voted against accepting the election. He was an election denier, is still an election denier, voted against certifying the results back in 2021, 2 days, or the day of January 6th, the next morning. He's dangerous. Mm-hmm. He's incredibly dangerous, but we're not doomed. We're not doomed.
Okay.
We can take back the House, but if we need to pay attention, because if we don't, he's going to be sitting up there next to Vice President Harris on January 6th, 2025. And what happens? I honestly don't know. He is a constitutional crisis. Yeah. A constitutional crisis waiting to happen. If your antennas aren't put up by this, I don't know what it's going to take. He is the highest ranking MAGA member in the country. Mm-hmm. The country. DeSantis? Nope. He's governor of a state. This guy can wreak real havoc. At a minimum, he will prevent LGBTQ plus bills from ever coming to the floor, whatever the Senate does, even if they can get to 60 votes. Fortunately, we codified marriage equality in the last session. But he's dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Can you explain that? I'm sorry to expand on that, but can you explain as to what that really looks like?
What's that?
What that role looks like and how they can stop a bill from passing or push one going through? Because it doesn't go beyond votes. It's all based on votes. So if something were to happen, he is not able to cut that off, right? He is not able to shut down a bill. He is.
He just won't bring it to the floor for debate.
Gotcha.
He's the one essentially who sets the calendar for the House.
Got you. Yeah. All right. Well, that makes it a bit more dangerous.
That's even scarier than most Halloween costumes I've seen.
Come to Wicked Manners on Tuesday. We'll get you up to speed. Well, next, let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Visit Lauderdale offers internationally inspired entertainment and cultural events. Visit Lauderdale never fails to offer great entertainment options for those in search of a well-deserved getaway when visiting Greater Fort Lauderdale. One such celebration will be hosted at the Seminole Casino Coconut Creek at noon this Saturday, October 28th. we're talking about the 12th annual Brazilian Festival, where you'll experience an exhilarating extravaganza of vibrant culture. The festival is known for its rich heritage, captivating performances, and electrifying ambiance, featuring Brazilian music, dance, and a kaleidoscope of Brazilian traditions. And don't eat beforehand, because you'll also be able to indulge in authentic Brazilian delicacies. You can find out more about this and many other events representing the varied cultures of the world at visitlauderdale.com. Visit Lauderdale, everyone under the sun.
Next, we are proud of our special partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. Supporting this partnership, we are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine Cathedral at the Happening Out television studios. We broadcast Sunshine Cathedral's Sunday International Service at 10:30 a.m.
Well, we finished tonight's Queer News headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up drag culture. Here's why RuPaul's Drag Race star Anetra cancels tour and may have quit drag. If you were looking forward to seeing RuPaul star Anetra walk that fucking duck, you'll have to wait a bit longer. The season 15 fan favorite says she's stepping away from drag for now. Anetra's UK tour was set to run through November 7th, but now all the UK tour's events are canceled. Fans and organizers alike were puzzled about what was going on until Anetra posted an Instagram story explaining that she needs a temporary break to deal with behind-the-scenes issues. She didn't elaborate.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. After Taylor Swift's ex, Matt Healy, makes small donation to LGBTQ plus cause, her fans show him how it's done. Queer Taylor Swift fans raised over just $5,000 for a California LGBTQ plus center in response to what they've characterized as a laughably small donation from the singer's ex, Matty Healy. Earlier this month, a fan account devoted to the 1975 posted a photo of the band with frontman Healy holding a large check for $500 made out to the San Diego Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Community Center. The donation was made in the band's name by Pechanga Arena, not the band members themselves. This donation got mocked on social media by queer Swifties. The end result? The launch of an online fundraiser by one of the Swifties named Bree.
LGBTQ plus 1 Minute News. Let's queer up politics. Lesbian U.S. Rep gets standing ovation after wishing wife happy anniversary during speaker vote. Democratic Rep Angie Craig offered anniversary wishes to her wife during Wednesday's House Speaker election. A thinly veiled dig at the ultimately victorious Republican nominee, Louisiana Rep. Mike Johnson. During the vote, Craig joined other Democrats in supporting House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. But before casting her vote, the Minnesotan wished her wife a happy anniversary to a chorus of applause from some of her fellow lawmakers. Craig's acknowledgement of her marriage, followed by her vote for Jeffries, carried some subtext, as Johnson's congressional tenure had been characterized by a strong opposition to LGBTQ+ rights.
LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the worldview. Court in Hong Kong sides with same-sex couple in inheritance case. A Hong Kong court upheld a ruling that supports the extension of equal inheritance rights to same-sex married couples. This is a significant triumph for the LGBTQ+ community in the bustling global financial center. Hong Kong law does not allow same-sex marriage, but some couples get married in places abroad where it is legal. Activists hope the ruling will influence Asian countries such as Singapore and Japan to reevaluate their own stances on LGBTQ+ inclusivity. The court's ruling is a response to the government's appeal challenging a 2020 court verdict endorsing equal rights for same-sex married couples under the city's inheritance laws.
LGBTQ+ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the worldview. London West End's My Son's a Queer, But What Can You Do? Heads to Broadway in 2024. Rob Magg's Olivier award-nominated play, My Son's a Queer, But What Can You Do? Is set to start a 4-month run on Broadway, following its success in London West End and the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. This autobiographical solo show tells the story of raising a queer child with all of its joys and chaos. Previews start February 27th and opening night is March 12th.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ+ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ+ evening news show.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Are you, like most of America, part of our very large television audience watching this live LGBTQ+ news broadcast right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV?
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ+ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ+ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots Magazine's Happening Out television network and Queer News Tonight.
I'm John Hayden, and on behalf of these LGBTQ+ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Bad Papi, Gregg Shapiro, Tyia Hareland, and Jonathan Casanas. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. And to our LGBTQ+ world, we wish you a very good
night.
We are Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only live daily LGBTQ+ evening news show, brought to you from Happening Out Television Network. We operate in the same model of PBS and NPR, but for the LGBTQ+ community. We educate, inform, and entertain by supporting the 10 pillars of our LGBTQ+ community, with more than 100,000 a week watching us on Roku, Apple Television, and other channels. To keep the story going, we accept donations with 100% transparency. Stay updated and live authentically with Queer News Tonight.